Alrighty, I'm here. Look at this bloke. I found this bloke again. Luke Martin, coach of Sydney West. Yes. How many fighters you got on tonight?
We've got 3 on tonight.
3 on tonight?
We've got two amateurs making debuts, and we've got a pro debut for Jordan Thomas. So.
Pro debut. That'll be good.
Yeah, he's the main event tonight, so should be a cracker.
Pretty excited?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if excitement's the right word to describe the guys fighting. I'm always, looking forward to seeing them test their skills, but a fight's a fight. You still, you don't want them getting injured or hurt. So, I don't think excited is the right word, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and prep camp was all good.
Yeah,
happy
great.
With the guys' preparation.
Look, they're, especially the amateurs. I mean, it's not so much of a camp. They're just always training and then
always ready.
Find them a fight. Like it's like you find them a fight. The opponent changes 4 times. Yeah. They lose them. They go to the next card. Like it's so hard. So I think these guys have both had multiple opponents just to get here. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like
let's just get over.
Let's just
move on to the next one.
Yeah. So they're both fighting guys who have had fights before, but no big deal. It's just a fight.
I was with Peter Schreier last night. He visited ICC, and we were talking about coaching and things like that. And we were talking about you made some controversial posts that put a bit of extra pressure on the boys at an IBJJF comp.
Oh, did I? Yeah. I tend to do that a fair bit. We've actually got guys competing at the ADCC tournament tomorrow, so big day tomorrow.
Big day tomorrow as well. Yeah, fair enough. And then you've also got Olivia. So I train with Olivia as well when she comes to Rockdale.
Yeah.
So she's fighting in Hex. Yes, next week.
Next weekend in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Looking fantastic. Yeah. I think the best she's looked that I've seen of her. Yeah. Blending her whole game together really well.
Mixing her takedowns with the strikes.
She can spar with the guys that are closer to her weight and legitimately do well. They don't have to just pretend with her. She can actually
hold her own. I know.
She's like a tiny little girl. So I'm really impressed with her. Her boxing looks nice. Yeah. Her wrestling looks good, but her grappling has improved a lot in, say, the last probably 6 months or so. Yeah. She's been coming out to me, full time for a while now. Yeah. And her grappling and I wouldn't be surprised if she submits this girl that she fights.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's got a big advantage in that situation, so we'll see.
Yeah, and then you've also got a couple of your guys, overseas at the moment. You've got Jeremy, who's obviously went to compete at ADCC. We'll talk about that when we do our podcast. But he's also spending a bit of time. I think he's at B team, and he's also gone to New York for a bit as well.
Yeah, he's in New York tomorrow, I think. I want to say soon. He's in New York. Yep. He's been in Austin for a bit. Just competed last weekend. Yep. Had a nice match at a 30-second hill.
Yeah,
so
that was a great entry. Slick, eh?
Beautiful. I didn't expect anything else. The guy he fought was legitimate too. Yeah. I think his name's Max Hansen. He's a guy at a Pedigo fighting system. Yep. Legit guy, and just looked like he didn't belong. Jeremy's world class. Yeah.
That entry was so slick. The way he went for single leg X, and then he sort of just it was almost like Kanapasami motion, right? Yep. To get that leg behind.
It is,
Yep. And then got the saddle, and then it was
He's been doing that since he was a purple belt. Yep. I remember at grappling industries 5 years, 6 years ago, watching this kid come through, fuck, this guy's a handful.
Sharp.
Yeah.
I think I competed against him when he was at purple belt. So.
Yeah. He was just killing everybody. Yeah. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So we got him. We got Baby Dave over there as well. He's over with Rao in New York. He competed, had a great showing in a 16-man bracket 2 weeks ago. Yep. And just lost in the final to Ethan Crillinson.
Yeah. Right, that's
and what was interesting was, so Crillinson had a match today and puts away Fabricio Andre, who is a world champion, IBJJF world champion, ADCC. He didn't medal, but he was at the last ADCC World Championships. Yeah. Ethan backstrangled him as soon as he got his back. Yeah. Dave had Ethan on his back for about 5 minutes and escaped, and then put him in leg entanglement. So that kid he hasn't got the big wins yet where he's at that breakout, but he's right on the edge.
Coming.
He's going to compete again next weekend in a 16-man tournament of finishers. Yep. That's on Flow Grappling. Yep. And that I think he'll do the same thing. He'll run through that tournament, submit them all as well. So
I think it's a really exciting time in combat sports here in Australia. MMA, the level of amateur MMA is we're talking guys that are semi-pro. We're practically pros, right? And then you look at the jiu-jitsu scene. The jiu-jitsu scene is going off as well. Obviously, I think it sort of kicked off a few years ago when with Lachlan and Craig. But the level of the new talent is just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not by accident either. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's a few coaches that have really looked and gone, even though we're all the way in Australia, we can still make world-class people. You know, for a long time, we looked at everyone else, you put everyone else on a pedestal, and it's like, it's not really achievable, especially if we're not training over there, you know. And I think now we're starting to realise if you've got dedicated coaching and a dedicated team, you can put together some seriously impressive athletes. And I mean, that's what we're doing. There's definitely another few gyms that are doing the same thing, and it's exciting for me because, you know, I remember grappling 2005. I started, and the level was very, very low compared to now. Like this white belt, I've got this white belt who's been training for 7 months that I trained with him for the first time the other day, and like he's phenomenal. I was like, "Do you guys know this guy's that good?" And they're like, "Yeah, women." Like I was just shocked. Like he's just one of the white belts. He's like rolling as if he's a pearl guy. It's just insane. It's not just how good they're getting; it's how fast people can get good, and that's the impressive thing. And I think that's the goal.
I think that's also part of the growth of the sport as well. Like because the information has become so readily available, we can look at all these other sources, bring them all in. You know, whether it's doing the instructionals or doing privates and all those sorts of things. Like, you know, you can really accelerate your learning if you're dedicated.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You know, everyone likes to say they're dedicated, but then they fuck off more than they are dedicated.
How much tape do they actually study?
So.
And that's what I want to talk to you about.
And you can see it. It shows. It shows come competition time. So, you know, as my guys step onto the grappling mats, I'm not worried whatsoever because I know those guys are putting the work to be as technically good as they can in that period of time, and they're going to go out there and execute that. And I know that's going to be probably enough to win in most matches. So there's not like this kind of anxiety there. It's like, oh shit, what's going to happen? Like MMA is a different thing because, you know, there's throwing hands and kicks, and it's
you got to mix it up.
Even someone who's a better fighter you see can lose. Like MMA is just a nasty bitch. But in jiu-jitsu and grappling,
that's why we love
you can really stack. Yeah, exactly. But in jiu-jitsu and grappling, I feel you can stack the odds in your favour substantially. So.
Higher percentage outcomes.
But it's exciting time. It's so good. It's great to see.
Well, Luke's going to join me on the podcast at some point. We'll get there eventually, and it'll be good.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
That's good.